Hello, this is Miss Briscoe here, and today we're going to be going over our weekly oral challenge for this week. And what I'm going to do is just walk through the 3 sentences that you wanted to edit this week to make sure that you have everything corrected in them, and you can see me go through my problem-solving steps to solve these sentences. So we're first going to start with the first sentence. And the first thing that I always do when I go to edit a sentence for my writing or for my weekly oral challenge is I want to just make sure that the sentence sounds right. So I'm looking at the structure of the sentence. Does my sentence sound right? Is the structure correct? There's no run-on sentence. You want to check all of that. So my first sentence says the holiday dance is on November 15th, isn't it? So it all sounds right. All my verb tenses are correct. All of my, nouns are in the correct tense. So everything sounds right in the sentence. The next thing that I want to go through is just make sure that the spelling is right in my words. And so all of my spelling does look correct. There's no misspelled words in the first sentence. So the next thing that I want to go through is I want to look at my capitalization, and I notice there are some capitalization errors. The first one is every sentence needs to begin with a capital letter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put 3 lines underneath the, and that's going to show that I want the to capitalize. So the holiday dance is on November 15th, isn't it? And November should be capitalized, and I think that it's actually not capitalized in yours, so you want to make sure that November is capitalized because it is a month. It's a proper noun. There are no other Novembers. November, we all know that when we say November, it means the month right before December. So November needs to be capitalized. So there are no names. There's just the proper noun of November, and we want the beginning of our sentence to be capitalized. So that's all the capitalization fixes that I need to do. The next thing that I want to look at is my punctuation. So does my sentence end with the correct punctuation? Do I have any contractions or any words that are possessive that need apostrophes? Do I need any commas in my sentence? So as I'm looking through, the holiday dance is on November 15th, isn't it? I know that in between November 15th and isn't it, I need to put a comma because that is separating 2 thoughts. I'm separating that. I'm saying it's on November 15th and then I'm asking. So there definitely needs to be a comma there. Another thing that I noticed is that isn't is a contraction. And so what that means is it's 2 words that were put together. So isn't actually has a comma within it because it is a contraction of the words is and not. And so what it does is I'm replacing that O and not and putting an apostrophe there. So isn't should be I-S-N apostrophe T. And then I did notice at the end of my sentence I have a period, but I am asking a question because I'm saying the holiday dance is on November 15th, isn't it? So I need to take out my period and I need to put in a question mark. So that is the process that I would do to rewrite this sentence. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all of my edits that I've just made and I'm going to type up this sentence again with all of these edits. So I'm going to capitalize the, and you're not going to see my writing until, you might actually see my writing. So the holiday dance is on November 15th, apostrophe, or sorry, comma, and then add my apostrophe and isn't it, and my question mark. So this would be my sentence corrected. So what you can do is you want to make those edits on your sentences, and then you want to go ahead and you want to rewrite your sentence after you have gone through all the steps for the editing. And there you go. That's our first sentence edited. So let's go ahead and look at our second sentence. Our second sentence, we're going to read it and say, does it sound right? John, will you step into the hall with me? Asked Miss Davis. So everything sounds right. The structure of that sentence correct, my verb and noun relationships, my subject and predicate relationship within my sentence, the structure of my sentence. It's a complete sentence, it's not a run-on, so it sounds right. Next, I want to look at the spelling. And it looks like there's no spelling errors in here as well. John, will you step into the hall with me? Asked Miss Davis. So everything is spelled correctly. So that's another thing I can check off my list. Now I want to look at capitalization. So I know that John is a name, it's a proper noun. So when we're speaking of this John, we know that it's a specific John. So John needs to be capitalized, and so does Miss Davis, because Miss Davis is a name and a proper noun. So we want to make sure that we capitalize both the Miss and the Davis. So I'm going to put three little marks under there because that shows me that that is capitalization. So I've capitalized all of my proper nouns, my names. The beginning of the sentence is John, so that's going to automatically be capitalized. So I've gone through my capitalization. The next thing that I want to do is I want to do my punctuation and any editing of commas and apostrophes, the end of my sentence. So I know that John, will you step into the hall with me? Asked Miss Davis. Well, Miss Davis is saying something, and so when somebody's speaking, you want to add quotation marks around what they say. So Miss Davis asked the question, John, will you step into the hall with me? So I'm going to put quotation marks around what she said. And it was a question. So anytime that someone's asking a question of character, I'm going to put a question mark inside of those quotation marks. So there's going to be a question mark right after what she said. John, will you step into the hall with me? Question mark, quotation, asked Miss Davis. And then I need a period at the end of my sentence. So now I have edited for all of the things that I want to look for in my sentence. I can go ahead and I can type it up. So I'm going to put in all of the editing marks that I made and retype this sentence. And what I forgot to tell you is that Miss is an abbreviation, so I want to make sure that I put a period after Mrs. And I added it into my sentence, but I forgot to do it up at my editing. So anytime that you see Mrs. or Mr., it's abbreviation, so you want to make sure that you put that period at the end of it. So, John, will you step into the hall with me? Asked Miss Davis. So that's our second corrected sentence right there. So let's go ahead and take a look at our fourth sentence. Our third sentence. We don't have four. I don't want to give you any extra work. So our third sentence says, in December, me and him are starting ski lessons. So just by reading this, I know that it does not sound right. There are some issues. So the first thing I want to say is, in December, me and him. Well, that doesn't sound right. And anytime that you're writing about you and another person or you and other people, they should always come first. You should always say their name first, or you should always say he, she, they. So I already know automatically that I need to switch this around, me and him. So I'm going to cross that off. So I'm talking about me and another person that is a boy or a man, a male. So in December, him doesn't sound right. I need a different tense of him. So I want to use the tense he. He. That would go correctly in our sentence. That's a correct form of him, he. And I want to stick with the and. So I'm going to keep the and there. So I'm going to put a little arrow showing that I'm keeping that and. And I, he and I. So I think instead of me, it should be I, because he and me does not sound correct, and that's not the correct tense of me speaking about myself in this sentence. So in December, he and I are starting ski lessons. Now that sentence sounds correctly. So now it sounds correct. So let's go back and let's look at some spelling. So I only see one spelling mistake, and it's right here with R. R is missing something, and what it's missing is it's missing that E at the end. So R should be A-R-E, and I know it's kind of hard to see using this tool. I'm not the best writer with my tools, but I can tell that that's an R. So I've gone through, and my sentence now sounds correct. I've checked my spelling. Now I need to check my capitalization. And we have another month here. We have December. So December is a proper noun which needs to be capitalized. The beginning of our sentence always needs to be capitalized. So I'm going to capitalize that first letter in the sentence. So in December, he and I are starting ski lessons. That looks like all the capitalization that I need. I have my proper nouns. There's no names, and the beginning of my sentence is capitalized, so that's good. The last thing is I need to look at punctuation. So in my sentence, in December, he and I are starting ski lessons. I stop after December because it's two different parts of my sentence. So in December, he and I are starting ski lessons. So I'm going to put a comma there. And then at the end, I need to put a period because it's a statement. I'm telling you something. So now I can go ahead and type up my corrected sentence with the edits that I've made. In December, he and I are starting ski lessons. So I have added all in my edits, I've done my capitalization, I've made sure my sentence sounds correctly. So now I am done with my third and final sentence. If you didn't get all these edits correctly, that's okay. I'm not expecting you guys to get 100% all the time. I just ask that you try your best and that you learn. The reason I do these videos for you is so that you can see how to correctly edit the sentence and why we're doing those edits. So keep up the hard work, and I look forward to seeing your submissions for this week.